of all the gin joints in all the towns in all the world, and she walks into mine. They call her Groovie Bean. But she's not just some dame. She's Yvonne Palermo. She does one of them shows on Haggy Shack Radio. So play it again, Sam. Yvonne, he is looking at you, kid.
I just love that. Happy summer evening, my friends here at Haggy Shack Radio listening on in. You have just arrived in Groovie Bean territory. Hey, it's the place where seeds grow. We spark change, all us beans here to feed the planet. I am your host, Yvonne Palermo, and thank you for tuning in tonight and joining me on the Groovie Bean journey. It's time to kick off your shoes and get those toesies of yours grounded in some Mother Earth soil. Pour some lavender iced tea goodness. Call in your friends to listen and keep an ear out for Bigfoot Hollers as we dive into another 2-hour show coming to you live from the Cascadia Mountains. So, again, tell your friends, pass on the word, and let's get our awakened family growing. Groovie Bean is every Friday night at 6 p.m. Tonight's show is produced by Haggy Shacker Radio. Lovely Miss Colleen Kelly behind the scenes who's snacking on her nutty Gazzetti Health Bean Bar. www.haggyshack.com. And tonight's intro for fun and of fun is the one and only Mr. Jim Nichols' creation, one of our reoccurring beans of wonder goodness. Honored to have him on the show and have him aboard. Holy social media pants, do a dance. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, give it a like, Instagram, and YouTube at Groovie Bean, spelled GROOVIEBEAN. My website is groovybean.com. There you can find the upcoming list of shows as well. So, friends, at this time, I'd like to send out a holler to all of our friends of goodness in the live chat room. And, of course, to all you listeners, I see you there. If you'd like to join us in a live chat, go to haggyshack.com. Haggy's chat room is a place where you can express your thoughts, opinions, and concerns freely, as long as you do it with respect to all who gather here. The rules are as follows. To comment and ask a question, you must be a registered user. And anonymous folks, you naughty little anonymous folks, log on in, sign on in, and join us. You're not going to be addressed in all questions in capital letters. Thank you kindly. Last but not least, we are a donation station. The sheep don't sleep here in Haggy's house. So if you like what you hear and you want more of it, show the Babylonian love dove-dovies. Click that donate link and follow through. Special shout out to Nancy and Walt for the Shungite goodness. Check out their website at www.cosmicreality.net. There you can find all your Shungite glorious needs. Hey, did you know Haggy Shack has a show schedule? Say what? Yeah, say it isn't so. Yes, it is so. Just check it out. All you got to do is go up to the top of the page and click that button. Now, we have some special added notes this evening, my Haggy Shack friends. We do. Jim Nichols is going to be at MUFON this month, June 25th, Tempe, Arizona. And, what? Mr. Jim Nichols and I will be speakers at the Transformational Shift Events Conference in October in Tucson, Arizona. Oh my gosh, for more details, friends, I'm going to go ahead and put this in the chat as well. Go to www.transformationalshiftevents.com. So very excited about that. Hey, Mr. Nichols, are you there?
I think so.
There he is. How you doing? How is Arizona, by the way?
Gagging on my iced tea here.
Uh-oh.
I didn't know you were friends with Humphrey Bogart.
That intro is brilliant. Thank you for doing that.
Wow,
Isn't he talented?
You really make an impression. If you got Humphrey Bogart, if you got Humphrey's attention, that's really amazing.
Well, amazing. I have his DNA stashed away, so I'm working on a little clone project and things. I am. Just saying. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, it sounds like the Maltese Falcon to me.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited about tonight's guest. We are going to have on Gina E. Jones, friends, who is a cardologist And I'm going to spell that because when I first heard this word, I was like, what? I thought of cardiology, right, in the medical field, but it's cardology, which is CARDOLOGIST. Yeah. So what is see, there we go, cardiology. What is cardology? My friends listening, I'll tell you, I'll tell you what it is. You want to know? It's the mystic science of the cards. The cards of life reveals your entire life from birth to death. Your life, your personal story is written like a movie script using the symbols, colors, and numbers of what people call ordinary playing cards. You will discover that there is nothing ordinary about them at all. The cards of life is an ancient multi-dimensional calendar and a hidden code for all of life, including yours. Each card does, in fact, reveal the time, the season, and purpose for everything under the heavens. Numbers rule the universe, my friends. And listen, I do want you to know Gina E. Jones's website, by the way. It is, let me get it here, it's thecardsoflife.com, and I will put that in chat as well. And I'm wondering, do we have lovely Miss Gina E. Jones on the line?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I'm here.
All right. My goodness, we have been looking forward to the show for some time.
Well, I've been looking forward to it too. So thank you so much for having me on. Just to clarify, we've struggled with this idea of what to call ourselves, the people who are experts in this field, and to avoid confusion with cardiologists. We actually call ourselves cardologers, like astrologers, cardologers. Now, in numerology, they do call themselves numerologists. So we could either go either way, really, with that. But we're in the same ology business as astrology and numerology. So I think it's easier for everyone to identify us as a cardologer, like an astrologer, than to get into a cardiologist or cardologist, because it is a little too confusing, and I don't want someone contacting me for an appointment thinking I'm going to do heart surgery or something on that. Although what we do in this information is transformational, and it will change your heart and your whole attitude and perspective of your life and what's going on in the world and your relationships. So in many ways we are cardiologists as well. Mm-hmm. But just for simplicity's sake, I think it's best to stick with cardologer, if you get my drift.
I catch your drift, and I will practice that.
Yes.
And just so everybody knows, I am fighting a bit of a migraine. I have today. So lovely Mr. Nichols is definitely going to be helping out tonight, because he is one heck of a groovy bean. So.
Think so, huh?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Hi, Gina.
Hi, Jim. He is a groovy bean. I've had the pleasure of knowing Jim for a long, long time. Yet we've not met in person, but we've known each other through our work as researchers and seekers of the truth.
Yeah.
And
so, Gina,
collaborated on a lot of things.
How long have we known each other now?
I would guess to say at least since 2005, 2006, so going on about 10 years.
Oh, my God. Well,
yeah,
time flies.
A decade.
Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it?
Yes, that's true. That is absolutely true. Although, it's hard to believe it's been that long. But, we've had some magical, wonderful conversations, so.
Well, it's interesting. Her research and my research seem to be like opposite ends of the pole 10 years ago. And it's just amazing how, oh my God, how our research has converged, and we're now right together on an amazing research discovery here that this whole reality is a virtual reality. And Gina, for God's sake, if there's any chance you could come to our conference in October, that is what my presentation is going to be all about.
Oh, excellent.
Okay.
I would love that. Yeah, it's so funny. Vaughn, you'd probably get a kick out of this. I've been wanting to get Jim to see this system, and he's looked at it on a, oh, that's interesting kind of perspective, but not really understanding the core of it. I'm like, you gotta look at this. You gotta look at this. He's like, yeah, but I'm doing my thing. And I'm like, okay, you're doing your thing, and so I'll keep doing my thing. And so we've gone back and forth over the years. And yes, we've come, now he's finally gone through all the steps and all the levels of information and research that he's done, and he's come to the same conclusion of what I've been saying all along. It's thank you, Jim. Thank you for but it's been affirming for me, because you've had to go through all of those levels, all those rabbit holes to come to the same conclusion.
Yeah.
And I still don't, I'm not a cardologist like Gina is in any way, shape, or form. But it's very interesting that her line of research has gone down one path and mine has gone down another path, and they ultimately converge at the same place, and that just blew my mind. I mean, wait a minute, what's really going on here? So and Gina has, I've been aware of astrology and tarot and all that stuff over the years, and it's there's something to it. I don't doubt that, but the research that Gina has done with the cards, she has just literally blown my mind. She can, we can have a conversation and say, oh, Gina, there's something really weird going on in my life today. And she'll, boom, she'll look at my cards. Well, of course, it's right there in your cards. Duh, it's right there in your cards. And sure enough, and I can't tell you how many times Gina has confirmed this to me, and it's as astounding to Gina as it is to me.
Oh, it's humbling, because the ego so wants to feel like it's in control. And is making every decision, and that there's nothing outside of ourselves that could possibly be making the decisions or the decisions being made for us. But in fact, we do come to this planet with a plan. We have a role, we have a script, we have basically a contract that we've agreed to play a certain character in this. And the really affirming part of all of this is just, the last few weeks, this confirmation from people like Elon Musk, who's saying the same thing as what I've been saying for a long time. For those who may not know who he is, he's got SpaceX, he did PayPal, he's the one with Tesla Motors, brilliant man, billionaire who just recently at a conference said, yes, it looks like we are characters in some ancient civilization's video game.
Isn't that something?
I'm like, yes, and the cards are the character. And just to help your audience understand, the cards in this system is basically, it's a new system to us, but it's an ancient system that's been rediscovered and only came out publicly in 1893 through a gentleman named Olney Richmond, who was basically, I guess, given permission to release this to the public, and saying that basically humanity was not of the consciousness to be able to handle this information, to basically be able to look at the story of your entire life and to see how everything is laid out. And the cards are just a code. And we think of playing cards as poker and solitaire and gin rummy and go fish or whatever games that we play with playing cards. But the cards are actually a calendar. It's an ancient calendar, and that's what it's always been used for. And
see, that was
we don't know that in today's world.
Yeah, Gina, that was the hardest thing for me. It's like you can tell my fortune with a regular deck of playing cards. Now, give me a break,
Right.
So let's play poker or let's play blackjack, but don't tell me you can tell my fortune with playing cards.
So you were a total skeptic at first, Jim.
Well, let me join Jim in saying that I was too. Absolutely. Yes. Oh my gosh. And just to clarify, this is not about throwing cards. This is not about being, psychic, and there's nothing wrong with it. They're very, very gifted people who can read cards of all different types. But this is actually mathematical. It's literally like looking at code. It is based on your birthday. And much like astrology and numerology are also based on birthdays. But I was introduced to this 16 years ago by a dear friend of mine who was an engineer at Lockheed. Very left brain guy, very logical, very practical. And he showed me these books, and he says, you have got to read this. You are not going to believe this. And I looked at it, much like Jim, and said, okay, this has got to be a joke. You cannot be serious. You want me to believe that playing cards are going to tell me about my life. And so I wouldn't even look at them. I mean, I really thought this was just some New Age ripoff. Somebody concocted some kind of system to make money off of people. And I told him, I said, look, we've got astrology, we have numerology, we have I Ching, we have tarot. It's like, my goodness, how many more ways do we need to figure out, who we are, what our lives are all about? And he's like, just read your cards. And I'm like, oh my God, okay. So I borrowed his books for a few weeks, and I read them, and I was floored. I finally got around to it, and I read mine, and I was like, oh my God, who has been following me? Who knows me? Who could have written this? Because what was written in this book was not only the nice, positive attributes of me, but the dark stuff, the shadow, the stuff that I didn't want anybody to know, things that I had never even really put into thoughts or certainly had ever verbalized to anyone, was written right there in black and white. And it was horrifying at first. It was like reading the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I was like, oh boy, do I want to own this? And I didn't because I was really good at sharing with everybody around me this great story that I had, that, I was a victim, that all these people had done things to me, and, I was really good at the blame game. And then when I read this whole description of me, again, just based on my birthday, it was like, oh, somebody knows my game here. Somebody really knows me. And I had, again, not ever really thought of myself in those terms, but that was me. And it took me a long time before I would even tell anybody what my card was, because I didn't want them to know the dark side of me, the shadow side of me. And yet it was right there in black and white. So finally I had to own it. And what I encourage everyone to do, and this is what I did for myself, is to learn how to play the high side. I had the low side pretty well worked out, but it was time for me to transform my life and to play the high side. And that's what I invite everyone to do, and that's why I'm so dedicated to sharing this with everyone.
Can I ask you which books you did read?
The two books that he presented with me to me were two books written by Robert Lee Camp. One of them is called Cards of Your Destiny, and the other one is called Love Cards, and they're kind of companion books, and they are the ones that you will find in the bookstores, in the spiritual metaphysical bookstores, Barnes & Noble, in the brick-and-mortar bookstores you can find his books. Sharon Jeffers is another author who has books in the stores as well. And then there's quite a few books that you can find online on Amazon as well. Okay. And so it was really an eye-opener. Yeah. And so anyway, I'm looking for any way and every way I can to share this information with everyone, because it's so healing and it's so powerful, and it just really helps people to know that the good, bad, and the ugly in them is okay, that this is the character that they chose to play before they got here. And, the universe said, hey, you're going to do a great job. So I want to show everybody what their role is, what their script is, so that they can play it really, really well. And hopefully when we get back to the other side, get an Academy Award going, wow, you made that seem so real, Because right now we're in a world that's perpetuated by fear. And I think, I see so many people that are operating from the low side of themselves. Because they're just basically in that reaction, fight or flight mode, and just fear-based, and really not stepping into who they are and giving a good performance of what they can do. It's much like we've come to Earth and we're this character and we're on the stage, but we don't know what the script is. We don't know what the story is. We don't even know what genre we're in. Is it a comedy or is it a tragedy? And we don't know who the characters are that are on our stage. You know, which one of these people in my world or my family is the antagonist, you know?
Well,
I know
a while,
I'm supposed to be the protagonist, you know, and who do you have karma with? And who are these other characters? Who's your co-star? Who's going to be there to support you throughout your drama? And when you can know this is where the cards become what as you introduced, multidimensional. Is not only do they show what you're going to do and when, but also who with. And that's the part that is just staggering. And yet, that's how whoever created this, whoever created Earth and created the story for everybody on this planet, is so brilliant to be able to actually do that. And that's where I've come to realize everything in life is simple. We just have to find the code. And the cards are a code.
Yeah, Gina, there's, case in point. I met Yvonne back on February 24th. And Yvonne is a 6 of hearts.
Yep.
I am a 2 of diamonds. And I rather suspect that if you look at our cards, you will see that there was a convergence of a 2 of diamonds and a 6 of hearts. That seems to be kind of complementary, and that association has gone nonstop since February 24th. Now you can look at the cards and say, well, yeah, it's right there in your cards, right?
Oh, it is, and it's the beauty of it is with this system because it's a fractal based system, so it's mathematical, and there's these large cycles of time that we can look at. So you can go back in the past or you can go in the future and see exactly how things are going to play out. And it's just astounding, the accuracy that it brings. And that's why so many people, once they find out about it, are, get very, very excited. But yeah, I was just in California at a conference with a dear friend of mine. We were sharing a hotel room, and she got a phone call out of the blue from her landlord saying, looks like the house that she'd been renting for a long time, he needed to sell it. And she's like, what? She's totally caught off guard. She didn't know. And we had looked at her cards for last year, and a year is from birthday to birthday, but we hadn't quite looked at this upcoming year because she just had a birthday in May. And lo and behold, she has a 5 of spades in Venus. Venus represents the home, and she has a 5 of spades. That means you're moving. And so she's now packing up her household and looking for a new place to live. It's literally in the cards for that to happen. And I've had so many people fight with me going, oh, I would never do this, or I would never do that, or this would never happen, and then it does happen. And they're like, oh, my God, I can't believe it. Wow. So it's not even the power of suggestion, because a lot of people are just adamant saying that what I'm suggesting or what the cards are suggesting is absolutely no way that would happen. And yet it does.
And yet it does, right. Yeah.
It's like a well-scripted movie, and the characters in our lives show up exactly at the right time. It's like, these big cycles of time. It's like the wheels inside of a clock, and then they just turn to a certain point where they intersect, and that's when people come together, and they're together for a certain time period. And then the wheels just keep turning, and we go through these cycles over and over and over again.
So this is including the Joker on the deck, right?
The Joker is December 31st. That is a card that's technically out of the system as far as we can't see what their day-to-day cards are. We basically say that they get to play any card of the deck whenever they want. So, yeah, they're very unique and very special. And anyways, I think the creator of all that is the Joker. Because, it's like today I was at an all-day event and at a conference, and I'm wanting to share this information with people, and they kind of just look at you when you talk about just what we talked about, playing cards, seriously? And, I laugh. It's like, yeah, it's funny. It's like the simplest, most accurate system and most transformative system that can help humanity, most people won't look at because it's playing cards. And I'm just thinking that God's having the last laugh because nobody will look at it. So it's for people like myself who are dedicated and just know that the system is what it is, and we just do our best to share it with those who are ready to hear it. And not everybody's ready to hear it.
Right.
A lot of people still operate from fear, and frankly, there's times when I look at certain cards for myself and go, oh no, how is this going to play out? It's like, oh, no. As a matter of fact, one of my dear friends, and she's one of my mastery students, she had these cards that would indicate an accident, and she had another one that indicated possibly a theft. And she's like, okay, I know this system, I've learned this, and I am not going to allow anything to happen to me today. She said, so if I'm going to have an accident or a fall or anything, she says, it's going to be at home. I'm not going to work today. So she stayed home. She's like, if I'm going to fall down, I want to do it at home, and everything will be better that way. So she stayed home that day, and nothing happened. And she's like, oh, this is awesome. I've out-tricked the cards. Everything's wonderful. So she goes to bed, and then the next day she goes outside to start her car. And little did she know that while she was sleeping, just 40 feet from her front door, someone had stolen the catalytic converter off of her car. Oh. So, in fact, she did get ripped off, and it wasn't anything major, but the cards have to play out. They will play out, and that's the thing, too, that's interesting, is if someone is reading their cards, say one of your listeners goes to my website, which is thecardsoflife.com, and looks up their card and says, you know what, that doesn't really sound like me, or that doesn't resonate with me. If we don't play our cards, then we will meet people who will play certain parts of those cards out for us. For example, there's one of the cards is called a cheater's card, somebody who tends to have extramarital affairs. So if a person who has that card doesn't have extramarital affairs, who doesn't cheat, then they will typically attract people who will cheat on them. But somehow they have to have that experience. So it's really fascinating. And I love it.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated about the mathematics behind all of it, and that it predates early Egypt. And I find that very intriguing. Yes.
Yeah, well, it is. But when you think about it, the cards are a calendar. So there's 52 cards. We've got 52 weeks. There's 4 suits. There's 4 seasons. There's 13 cards in each suit. There's 13 lunar cycles. There's 12 court cards. Court cards being the jacks, the kings, and the queens. So we have 12 zodiac signs in Western astrology, and we have 12 months in the year. And then if you added all the little spots, all of the diamonds and all the spades and the clubs and the hearts on all of the cards, it equals to 365. And then you throw in the joker, so then you end up with 365 and a quarter days. So most people are not aware of this. And it really is surprising when you get into it. And there's even more, which is too hard to explain because it's very visual, but there's even more to it. So it's a very, very, very accurate, very, very specific system.
Okay. So Gina, all this came out, the playing cards actually came out of the same science that created astrology and the original tarot cards. These are all 3 manifestations of the same science, correct?
Cardology integrates a little bit of astrology when it comes to the planets, and there's a little bit of numerology. But the beauty of this system is it combines those two, but it's simpler and more accurate. Mm-hmm. The indigenous cultures have always known that each day there is a different energy. The Maya knew this. A lot of the natives have known this. You'd be called, running bear, or if you're born on a certain day in the Maya, you'd be like 4 eagle. They all understood that there was a different energy to each and every day. Unfortunately, in the world that we live in, it's just you're born on a Tuesday or a Friday or whatever, and basically all days are equal. And that's really not the case at all. So it's really wonderful to know your cards and to be with people who also know your cards to support that, to support you and what you're doing and not look at you that you're odd or there's something wrong with you. And so if we could just embrace and celebrate all of the different cards and how we are, then everybody could get along so much better. For example, the 4 suits represents basically 4 different types of thinking, the way that we view the world. Yvonne is a 6 of hearts. Again, this is based on her birthday. So hearts people tend to be very heart-centered. They're here to experience life in themselves through love, through relationships, family, children, sex. They enjoy the creature comforts in life. They do enjoy a comfortable home. They love beauty and good food, good wine, whatever it is. They just love all of that. And they're here to experience life and themselves through love. Then the next...
I love
That's Groovie Bean, all right.
That's Groovie Bean, that's right. And so the next suit, and they're very much like the children of the deck, and they remain very youthful even when they get older. They tend to look very youthful and just they like to have fun. And I think everybody would agree Yvonne likes to do that. So the next suit up is the club. So this is more the time, the age where we are going to school, we're going to college, we're getting an education. So clubs is a time of education, information, and knowledge. And people who are clubs people, they're all about thinking. And they tend to think through their relationships. They tend to analyze a relationship before they decide to get in it. They're not necessarily coming and feeling it from the heart. They'll think about it first. So that's just the way they are, and it's fine. That's just the way they're programmed. But education and information is super important, and they love conversation and chatting. The next is the diamonds, which would be Jim and I. My card is the Queen of Diamonds, and Jim is the 2 of Diamonds. So we tend to be more of the adults of the deck, and diamonds are all about values and about money. And it could be spiritual values or basically anything that somebody, particularly values can be represented with them. And they're the adults of the deck. As children, they never like to be told what to do, and they tended to like to hang out with the older people or and not the little kids in the family. If they were at a family reunion, they wouldn't want to play with the kids. They'd want to play with the teenagers or hang out with the adults.
Oh, that's amazing.
And why are you saying that?
You nailed me when I was a kid. It's like I couldn't stand the other kids. I think, okay, they're barbarians.
Well, it's just the way that we are. And then the last suit is the spade suit, and these people are here to experience life and themselves through work, death, dying, labor, spirituality. And they love to work. They feel alive working. This is what they thrive on. These are the workaholics of the deck. And it's just fun to see how they are. And they tend to be the old souls of the deck. They're like the grandparents of the deck. And they truly, these are the kids that would like to hang out with the grandparents when they were growing up to see what they could learn and what they can gain from them. They definitely didn't want to hang out with the kids. And they tend to take on, people who are speech people, they tend to take on a little bit more in life than everybody else, in the fact that they'll take on a health issue or some other challenge in life because it's like they're getting a master's degree. They're like telling the universe, bring it on, show me what you got, and I'll deal with it. So it's interesting when you get together, with certain people that are like this, because you can just see where they're coming from.
Yeah, Gina, I had a question this week on Facebook. A lady heard that you were going to be on the show, and she says, but she said, I'm a Queen of Hearts, and she says, I don't know anything about Queen of Hearts. I thought, well, if anybody could tell her about Queen of Hearts, it would be Queen of Hearts Gina.
Queen of Diamonds. No, Queen of Diamonds.
I'm sorry, Queen of Diamonds. Yes, she says I'm Queen of Diamonds, and I don't know anything about it. And
oh, she's Queen of Diamonds as well.
Yes,
well,
she is Queen of Diamonds. Yes, I'm sorry.
That Queen of Diamonds, it sounds so fabulous. It sounds so wonderful, and that's what was so funny for me. Just to give everybody just a little background on my life story and what brought me to all of this is, I went to 10 different schools. My father was in the military, and we went back and forth across the ocean several times, and as many as we can count, I went to 10 different schools. It was not easy. And then my parents in the 60s, they divorced. Well, back in the 60s, people didn't get divorced, or if they did, you certainly didn't talk about it. So I just felt like, why is life so hard? It's not easy being the new girl. I will tell you, when you go to that many different schools, you're always the new girl, and you just want to be invisible. And it was just very, very tough and very challenging. And then we ended up in South Carolina. And that was during the time of desegregation. And it was horrible. I mean, children, black and white, were getting ripped from their schools, their neighborhoods, and being fit into some percentages to fit somebody's theory of, what was right and for everybody's quotas to fulfill their game at desegregation. And it was horrible. It was a terrible time. And I kept thinking, what did I do to deserve this life? Why is my life so turbulent? Why is it so challenging? I just want to be normal. And
whatever that is.
It was these kind of things that made me wonder, what it is all about. So when I did finally find out about the cards back in 2000 through my friend at Lockheed, I found out that the Queen of Diamonds is the worst card in the deck. And I thought, well, there you go.
Oh, my
now
goodness.
I got an answer to why my life was so difficult. Now, it's not to say that every Queen of Diamonds life is the worst in the deck, but it's when you learn the system, you'll see that there's certain places that our life experience comes out, and mine is in in a Saturn line, and so it's a challenging one. Robert Lee Camp, who wrote those books that I just mentioned earlier, I believe he said he went to 8 different schools. He too is a Queen of Diamonds. So, Queen of Diamonds just has a challenging life on many levels, and there's some that they've had a pretty great life. Hugh Hefner is Queen of Diamonds. He certainly, I don't think, struggled too much with his life. Aristotle Onassis was another one. But then there's Martin Luther King Jr. So all of us basically are in the position of sharing information. Right. And that's the core thing, is that we all had a message to share with someone. Even with Hugh Hefner, with Penthouse, I think it's, Playboy. Was it Playboy or Penthouse? I don't know.
Same thing.
I was going to say, it's one of those boys. But, they always talk about, there's got really great articles, that the writing was very good, and actually there was a lot of great information in there that supported women's issues and women's causes as well.
They don't even have centerfolds anymore, so. But people need to understand that, when you're
born. Did you just say that?
No, they don't have. No, they've kind of cleaned up their act. It's becoming very,
I don't know.
Middle of the road. Anyway, it's not a sex magazine anymore.
Okay.
So if somebody's born and they say, okay, you're the Queen of Diamonds, based on that day, but there's way more to it. It's like that when you're born, that sets up the whole pattern of the entire deck. Is kind of locked in place at that point, right, Gina? And so there's all these other cards are affecting, play different roles in affecting, how your life plays out. So it's not, you can't just say, well, I'm a Queen of Diamonds or I'm a 6 of Hearts or whatever, and that's the end of it. It's like it's that main card, how it's played out against all the other cards and all the other dynamics from all the other cards in the 52-card deck that really is defining your character and the life you play in this particular lifetime.
That's true. Actually, with each life card, you get 12 more that define your life, that give and that represent various phases of your life. And the first 7 represent 7 13-year periods. So it's much like, I don't know if I know you've written a book, Jim, and I'm sure some of the listeners have written books, or even if you've just created a business plan, you plot out that you're going to have certain things happen over a certain period of time. A lot of times we just use a little index card. You can put it on a wall or a bulletin board, and screenwriters do this too. And so, in each one of these little time frames, you have this little story that's going to go on.
Yeah.
So just imagine if you had 7 index cards that basically it's like, okay, in this 13-year period, this is going to be the story, and then this is going to be sort of the theme and the story, what's going on here. And you do that for 7 of them, and basically you've written a movie. And then there's little scenes that will occur in that, or different different stages, different acts that will happen in each one. And you just go down into smaller and smaller time frames. So we have the cards of our life, which are 7 13-year periods, but we also have daily cards.
Right.
And that's what I love, and that's where things just really get exciting, because that's where the validation comes in on everything.
Right.
I have people will contact me for, a consultation, and I usually will let them pick the day if I have that flexibility. I say, well, what day works best for you? And then they'll tell me, and then later on I'll look, and lo and behold, that day I have their card, or they have my card that day. And it's like, okay, there you go.
We do have...
the characters just show up. Like I said, it's like a well-scripted movie. The characters show up.
Okay, yeah. We do have a listener question for you, Gina E. Jones, in case you folks are just tuning in. That's who we're speaking with, about cardology and cardologer. There you go. How is it that my card only has 3 birthdays attached to it?
Great question. The cards are determined through a mathematical equation. And on the website, thecardsoflife.com, if you go to the birthday chart, you'll see the chart. It's laid out. It looks very, very pretty. But, yeah, there are some cards that there's only 1 birthday for. For example, January 1st is the King of Spades, and that's the only birthday of the entire year that has that card. And then there are other cards, like the King of Clubs, where there's 12 of them. There's 1 in each month. So it's based on a formula that is mathematical, that's calculated, that determines where these cards are actually assigned. It's not random at all. And that's the beauty of this, and that's what I really like, is to be able to show people that are very intelligent, who understand mathematics, who understand code, who understand systems, how this works. And when they see it, they get it. One of my clients right now, she worked for IBM for 33 years. And so when she heard me talk about this at a networking event, she totally got it. She understands systems. She understands code. And she was getting ready to release a couple of books that she'd written, and some little ancillary, I don't know what you call it, products that go with that. And so she wanted to know when to incorporate it. And this is something else that is important for everyone to know, is it's not just your own birthday, but it's also when you birth a business. When you incorporate, you're birthing a new entity. And just ask the IRS, they'll say absolutely, let's pay taxes on it. So it's important to know when you start a business, because it too is going to play out its cards. It has a life, it has a destiny, it has a personality, and it has karma. And so when we were looking at incorporating for her business, she wanted to know when would be a good time. And this is where I feel like we could really help so many people in the world if they just knew the day to do things. Because right now we're in a society here in the United States where we have 40 to 50% of marriages are failing or end in divorce. and we have 80% of small businesses fail. Yet we have so much information out to support business. We have information and systems in place to support relationships, and yet we're failing miserably in these two areas that are most important to us. And I really feel like that because we don't know that the day when we're starting to do something, that it has an energy, it has a life path, and it has to live that out. And if we just knew how to use these cards in a way to support what we want to do, to support and encourage our intentions, we might in fact be more successful. So with this client that I had, just to give you an example, she wanted to incorporate around June or July. And so when I was showing her when her seasons of success, when her period of when the money would flow in for her business using those dates, it was going to be during the holidays, during the Christmas holidays. So I had to ask her. I looked at her. I said, "Does that work for your family dynamic? You know, do you want to go out in the winter time and go pitch and sell your books and to fly around, you know, when there's snowstorms and you're stranded at an airport or there are flight delays because the weather goes crazy here in the United States in winter time?" I said, because that's when your money's going to come in. And if you are not out doing something during that time period, then you're going to miss your season, your harvest, when the money's going to come in. And then she will be at home with her family not knowing that that's the time that she's supposed to be out bringing the money in. Now, it's not to say she can't make money, you know, through Amazon or some online thing, but to really bring in the big, again, I use the word harvest, it helps to know this. The farmers have an almanac, if you could look at it this way. I mean, they know when to plant and when to expect things to come in. But when we're just incorporating on a certain day, thinking, oh, things are great, we're literally just scattering our seeds out to the winds and just hoping that something's going to happen because we're not looking at the seasons of success. We don't know when our seasons are. We don't know when to plant. We don't know when the harvest is coming in. And it's much like a farmer going out to a field in December going, where are the strawberries? And we don't know what we're doing, then it's destined to fail. And so I just invite people to really look and think about what they're doing and just learn a little bit about the cards for each day of the year.
So Gina, So
I was going to say, for the listeners tuning in, though, if they want to get a detailed description of their months, their weeks, their days, they can go to your website, right, thecardsoflife.com, and contact you. Correct?
Yes, of course.
Okay, wonderful. And, you know, I had a cuckoo week. That's what I had. How would I find that out? What happened?
Oh, you're talking about, looking at it in your cards.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's all there. No matter what is going on, it's all there. And that's why the beauty of it is being able to see, you know, what's happening and why. And I always like to know the why. If you could just tell me why something happened or what's the lesson, then I'm okay with it. And the beauty of this system, too, is it shows you not only why things are happening and when, but it also lets you know when it's going to be over. And you're like, okay, I can do this for 2 more weeks. I could suffer with this or whatever the challenge may be. I can go through this and get through it if I can see that the end is coming or the end of that cycle will be over in 6 weeks or 6 months or whatever it is. When we don't know what we don't know, I mean, we don't know that Act 2 and Act 3 are going to be glorious, but Act 1 is just really, really tough, then people, you know, literally will take their lives. And they just don't know that something better is coming. And I want to share with everybody, you know, you can look ahead and see what's coming, and then you can prepare for it. And it's not to say that you can make things go away, just like I was giving the example of my student that was, you know, trying to avoid having an accident or getting ripped off. you can minimize things. There has to be a point to knowing the cards. I mean, what is the point of knowing astrology or numerology if you can't change anything? So I feel like there has to be some wiggle room in all of this. But it's like the pothole in the street, a giant pothole in the street. If you know it's there and you know it's coming, at least you could slow down and take it like tire by tire. Whereas, people who don't know what's coming ahead, they could be going at that thing 80 miles an hour and hit that pothole and just really trash their car. And it doesn't have to be that way. So it's, again, just knowing what lies ahead doesn't mean it's going to make it go away, but it can certainly minimize the impact on your life.
Gina, I want to bring this into something that's a little more personal with Yvonne here. She had a major TBI, a brain injury back in 2011, and I think we had asked you about that before. And you looked at her chart for that day, her cards for that day. Mm-hmm. And as I recall, she had the Ace of Spades as her Pluto challenge card.
Yes.
And essentially, it was like a death rebirth experience for her. Mm-hmm. So could you kind of elaborate on that a bit?
Yes, and that's the beauty of looking at the cards is, again, to see the why or to see that something was supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she had, I think there was 2 Ace of Spades for her, a Jack of Spades and an Ace of Spades for that week. And yes, so that was her challenge card. So somehow she was supposed to go through a death and rebirth, sort of letting go of the old and starting something new, which, according to what she shared with me about that accident, and that's exactly what happened. Mm-hmm. And then the Jack of Spades, it has multiple definitions, but in that position for that particular week for her, it was basically, it was a spiritual initiation. Wow. It was somehow being able to sort of pierce the veil and to see another reality and to be initiated into a higher knowledge, a higher way of living.
Right. Yvonne, is that how you would describe it?
Golly gee. Heck yeah. Full on, everything you just said. That's amazing. Balls officially.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so what happens when you can look back at this, and I don't know the circumstances of the accident, Yvonne, but, if somebody hit you, then you could have been blaming that person all this time. And then when you look at your cards, you're like, you know what? It was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
This is what we agreed to. This was what was supposed to happen. And it
was a gift. Now, well, except all the medical bills. However, the pile that's sitting on my desk. It was a gift because I did pierce the veil. I saw out of this ever-loving, not so much loving matrix. And it has changed my life, my essence, my mission. And that was one of the things when you showed me the reading for the 6 of Hearts. It said, for the 6 of Hearts, there will be the discovery of a special mission in life, one that involves bringing love into the lives of others in a special way. It is here that they find their highest fulfillment and happiness. And holy cannoli, I'm speaking at the Transformational Shift Conference this October. And that's what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So it's crazy amazing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Well,
it's a beautiful thing. And again, it's very healing when you can go back in the past and realize, okay, this was supposed to happen.
Right.
And get out of that blaming or whatever and realize, wow, I must be a really good actor to take on this role. I was joking when we get to the other side, we're going to get an Academy Award for this one because, wow, some of the stuff that we've signed up for is pretty amazing. It's pretty staggering. But, what's nice, too, is when you can, if we happen to have known the person who hit you, if we'd looked at their cards to see what in fact was going to transpire, then you can see that convergence as well. And I've seen this with couples where they will have what's nicknamed the divorce card, and they will both have the divorce card at the same time in both their cards.
Oh.
So there's a healing there. It's like, okay, and you can show when they got married too, and so you can say, okay, well, we agreed to get married, but in this story we also agreed to get divorced. So let's do it nicely. Yeah. Let's not drag the kids through it. Let's not make this expensive and hire all these attorneys and go through the courts. Let's just do this with as much respect as you did in getting married as you are getting unmarried. Yeah. And when you can do that, again, you can get out of that victimhood and blame game and just realize, wow, this is part of our story, and let's just make it nice.
Hey, Groovie Bean, how are we doing on time?
I think we should take a little bit of a break. It is that time, I believe. Okay. So we will, folks, we were going to come right back with Gina E. Jones. And please don't forget, you can ask questions in the live chat. Just make sure they're in capital letters. And while we're on this break, if you want to check out the website, thecardsoflife.com, get your birthday up in there. And I'm telling you, you can contact Gina to get all your specifics about what it is you want to know. And if you've looked it up and you have a question, boop, get on in that chat. Get registered, my friends. So yeah, let's take a little bit of a break. Right, Colleen?
Right.
Yeah. Right on.
All right. Wake up.
So
Wake up.
Break.
So what are we doing, 5 minutes? 4 minutes?
Sure. About 5 minutes. This is You Can Do Magic by America.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And are we back?
You are back.
Whoop. Hey, folks, we are back here at Haggie's Shack Radio. I am your Groovie Bean, hostess with the mostest, Yvonne Palermo. I am joined tonight by Mr. Groovie Bean himself, Mr. Jim Nichols, and we have a very special cardologer on this evening, Gina E. Jones. And I am so excited about this because I think everybody needs to be looking up their cards now and contacting you. That's what I think.
Oh, I think so too. It's so fun when you get to know everybody's cards, and you can go to parties or a family reunion, and you can they start talking, and you realize what they're going to be talking about. Just if you know their suits or know their cards, and then you just know how they behave. And it's so funny because we have a lot of prominent people in our world who are teaching people exactly what they are supposed to learn themselves. Somebody today at this workshop that I was at mentioned Tony Robbins, and Tony Robbins in the cards, based on his birthday again, he's a 9 of clubs. And the lesson for the 9 of clubs person is to give up limiting beliefs. And I laugh because Tony Robbins has created an entire empire teaching people to give up limiting beliefs. And yet that's his lesson. That's what he is supposed to learn in this lifetime. And he's done, I think, a very, very good job at that. I don't know if your listeners are familiar with Ariel Ford, but she has a business helping people find their soulmates. And her card is the 2 of Hearts. And it's called the Sweetheart card, and they're all about love. They want somebody, 2 hearts, to come together. And she has a business, basically, it's all about finding your soulmate. So it's just kind of entertaining when you get to see who people are and how they're playing their cards, and then what they want to share with other people. It's basically what they're all about themselves. So
Gina, is there anything in my cards today about my bathroom flooding?
You know what? It doesn't give us those kind of details.
I left my window open in the bathroom, and the floor's flooded.
Well, it could be in there, especially if it ends up costing you money. That can certainly show up there. And there's certain card of the days. Today is a 7 of Diamonds day, so there's usually some kind of test of faith regarding finances or money. And it's funny that you mentioned that because the lady who was sitting right next to me, she got a call from her landlord. And I guess the unit across the hall from them had a toilet that flooded, and it was coming out of that unit and coming across the hall and going into her unit. So So there's something about water and toilets today.
Well, yeah, and I know, Gina. There's so many times that we have conversations, and I say, well, this happened and that happened, and And of course, you whip out my cards and you say, "Well, Jim, it's right there in your card. Jim, it's right there."
Well, yeah, the cards have been astoundingly accurate at different times throughout the years with Jim's health. And he's like, God. "You and your cards, how did you know?" And he's like, he'd been laid up for a week or something was going on, and it was right there. And I would say, "Well, how's your health?" And and I don't think it was suggestive in any way. And then
I always panic when she asks, Jim, how's your health?
Gosh.
I was like, "Well, how's your health right now?" I was like, "Why are you asking me that?" I'm like, "Well, there's this card here." But he's not one to, just buy it hook, line, and sinker. He's always healthily skeptical about everything.
Right.
And including the cards, and I appreciate that because I was, again, the same way. It's only through my own journey with this that I really, truly appreciate the accuracy of this system.
Absolutely.
But I was a skeptic, too. I went and found every calendar that I had. I went and found every diary, every passport, anything that had a date and something that I was doing on it. And Yvonne, you're going to laugh because I actually created an Excel spreadsheet of my entire life, a timeline. Because, as I mentioned, I went to 10 different schools. These are huge events in a child's life. This is not just like going down the street and playing with your friends. This is life-changing. And so I was able to match up these major events of my life in the cards. And it was all right there. And it was shocking because, again, in Western astrology, I'm an Aries. I think I'm in charge, I feel like I'm the master of my own destiny. And come to find out, somebody else has been directing my destiny. So
let me ask you this. I have a question because we were talking about the Matrix earlier.
Yes.
And Elon Musk because the cardologer is based on the mathematical and the fractal system. This may be an odd one, but can the cards predict a glitch in the matrix itself?
I don't know that that's
just a thought.
Possible. These are more individual. Mm-hmm. A lot of people want to know about what's going on with the world. I don't think that we can really see anything of that significance. Mm-hmm. And because it's fractal, it just keeps repeating itself.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, it's funny though, because a lot of people say, well, how could this possibly be that, you could look at cards for the future of your life? But, we have systems all in place where we track everything. We track weather, that goes back hundreds of years. We look at these patterns and cycles in weather. We do it with the financial markets. We've got these cycles where the market's up, it's down, all of these things. We measure earthquakes. I mean, we know, when there's these cycles that are going to come. And even with volcanoes, we measure all these things, and yet we don't measure the things that are happening in our lives. We don't measure how many days, say today, Jim had a huge expenditure because of what happened. Say he had to put out several $1,000s to get something fixed. But does he know how many days it was in the past that he had the same kind of thing where he had to lay out that kind of money? Mm-hmm. And then before that, and before that, and before that, and then chart it out to see what the cycle was, how many days were in between these events? Mm-hmm. Or if you were in an accident, or if you lost your car, or the last time you cried. And how many days was it before you cried before that? We don't measure the cycles of our lives. We don't really look at any patterns to see that certain things are occurring over and over again.
Right.
And if we did, then we would see that, in fact, there is a pattern. There are cycles that are occurring. So we tend to repeat these over and over again in certain time frames. And interestingly enough, at age 45, we have gone through basically all of the cards that we're going to have for half of our life, and then we replay the cards over again for the next 45 years of our life.
Oh my!
And
reset.
So basically, around 45 to 52, we get this opportunity to basically reinvent ourselves, to really become who we want to be. Mm-hmm. Whereas the first part of our life is what schools wanted us to be, what our parents, family, teachers, society. Now, we often call it a midlife crisis, but in fact, there is a time frame when we go through this where the universe offers us opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to reinvent ourselves. And a lot of times what we started at 45, we actually end at 52. And 52 is called the critical year, and it's amazing how many people actually transition at age 52. It's like their story is complete. They have completed what they came here to do and have now departed and gone to the other side.
But what if somebody passes before they're 52?
Well, of course, there's tons of people that die before then. We all have a life contract. We all have karma. We all have a purpose and a reason for being here, even if it's for someone who lives just for a few days, and then versus someone who lives for 103 years or 105 years, whatever. I mean, we all come in with different reasons. So somebody who is Jim's card, say who's a 2 of diamonds, they could die at age 5. And then, or they can live as long and as old as Jim is. I mean, like old as dirt. So no, I'm just kidding, Jim. I'm just saying, we all have a soul contract. There's just different exit points in all of this, but it's just really fun and really fascinating.
So
one of the great movies that illustrates this, and I love this movie, and I think Jim actually told me about it. It's called The Adjustment Bureau with Matt Damon.
Yeah.
And these guys are running around with these little books, and they're making sure that everybody is where they're supposed to be. And now they have the details of the details, because in the movie they're trying to make sure that he's on a certain bus and that he spills his coffee, and then it sets off this sequence of events. But he sort of slips between time and he figures out what's going on and tries to change things. But that I thought was a great movie. And he's always telling me about all these other movies that really are saying the same thing that Elon Musk and some others are saying about this reality is really not what it is.
Right.
And it's not until you see things that kind of wake you up to going, wait a minute. It's kind of like, I don't know if your viewers have seen the Matrix movie, but where Neo notices the black cat go by twice.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like there's a blip there or a little mistake in the Matrix. Those are the kind of things that, for those of us who are sort of awake and aware will notice something is not quite what it seems.
Right. Okay. Well, this is where this is kind of where our paths kind of converge here, because I'm researching UFOs and conspiracy theory and all this crazy stuff, and Gina's doing the cards, and these seems to be, there's nothing, in common at all here. But Gina starts to discover that, it looks like this reality, this so-called reality that we live in, is not as real as we seem to think it is. And that's one of the aspects of ufology. It's like the UFO phenomena itself is like a glitch in the matrix. And it's something that's like you just can't get a handle on, and it's like, is this real? Are UFOs for real? Are they not real? And then you say, well, what is real?
Right.
What is real and what is not real? And am I real? Is this everyday reality we go through?
I tell you what, that chocolate bar I've been staring at better be real.
Well, enjoy it. It's that chocolate bar.
Yeah.
It's part of your illusion. So it's like and how are we creating this so-called illusion day by day? And are we in a virtual reality? And so this is, and Gina's studying the cards, and she's asking herself the same question. So wait a minute, if everything's planned out, if we're just actors on a stage, it's like,
Right. If this is that accurate, hello.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute. I thought this 3D reality was real, and it's like, the more you dig into it, the less real it becomes. And it's like a video game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
if you've played a video game, you know, within the context of the game, you have to play the rules of the game. Right. And then you understand the rules, and then you can get in and enjoy it. Yvonne had her near-death experience in 2011, and it's like she came back into the game, and since 2011, she's been relearning the rules. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and this is a challenge for her.
Very much.
And it's stuff that, you know, we take for granted because, you know, we're totally indoctrinated into the rules. So Yvonne comes back, and this is what I'm seeing this reality through Yvonne's eyes now, and it's like from somebody who has been outside of the Matrix and comes back in and sees it again, and she sees what a frickin' fraud the Matrix really is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's the fun thing. You know, I have a lot of people ask about, you know, things that are going on, especially in politics and stuff about the cards and all that, but you know, my question is, I don't get so caught up in what's going on the stage, on the world stage, and who all the characters are, and they're pointing fingers, and, you know, you're this and you're that, whatever. I want to know who wrote this. It's like watching a movie in the theater, and, you know, we're yelling at the screen, and we're watching it, and we're yelling at the actors on the screen, which is us as well. I want to see who's in the back of the room running the projector, and
who's holding it.
Who actually put all this together. Mm-hmm. And you know, the other part about this whole concept of the future, it's being discussed scientifically as well. And one of the greatest authors that I have been reading his material, and I think you also read. Jim, is Anthony Peake's work.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he gets into this whole, you know, illusion of past, present, and future in the labyrinth of time, and he's got another book, The Daemon. You know, we always have this little voice that's telling us what to do. It's like, but how does it know what we're supposed to do? If in fact there isn't a script, there isn't a story, how does it know to tell you, you know, move over 2 lanes, and you get this sick feeling that something's getting ready to happen, and sure enough, it's going to be, you know, a car accident or a fire truck's going to come by or something's going to happen. And the same thing with psychics or with people who are intuitive. Mm-hmm. I put together materials, and we've been promoting it this week, and we've got a lot of interest in the documentary. It's called The Great Secret, Unlocking the Code of Life. And it basically, you know, we have these experts that we want to interview, and including celebrities like Elon Musk, who are, again, saying the same thing, that, you know, we are in this sort of false reality, call it a video game or whatever. But how do people predict things? The Bible is full of prophecies. Right. It's full of dreams and visions. Well, what were they seeing if it hasn't already happened?
Right.
Exactly. Right.
Are the Sumerians or the Anunnaki holding the deck of cards?
Well, you know, I don't know. I would like to know. I would certainly like to know that. Linda and Terry Jameson, I don't know if you're familiar with them. They're called the Psychic Twins. They say that they are one soul in 2 bodies. And 2 years before September 11th happened, they were on Coast to Coast with Art Bell.
No kidding. What was the name again?
And they told the listeners, they were petrified. They told the listeners that they had seen, psychically, they had seen what was going to happen on September 11th. They named the airlines, they named the buildings, and they said exactly how many people were going to die 2 years before it happened. And they thought the world was going to fall apart based on their prediction, and then they chuckled to themselves now because basically nobody listened.
Gina, I was thinking about that today, and all the predictions of the Third World War, the apocalypse, and all that stuff. And it dawned on me that it's like, well, wait a minute. What if that's game over? It's this whole video game has played itself out, and that's when you hit that point, the apocalypse, it's literally game over. The game closes down, and then you'll start up a new game.
Yeah.
Think about that one.
I am.
Oh yeah. And there's a lot of people have written about this as well. Trying to remember the gentleman's name who wrote the book, The Disappearance of the Universe. Was talking about the fact that when we all wake up and we finally realize that this is not real at all, that it is just all an illusion, it's just all part of our mind, then the whole thing just disappears.
Right.
And I think of it, I try to share it with people in this way to make it palatable, and in many ways I think this is kind of the reality. But just imagine that you are God. You know how boring that is? If you are everything and you know everything, what do you do?
What do you do to entertain yourself? Right.
You have to create a game. You have to imagine that you are something other than yourself. And I think we come to this planet and we come through the veil of forgetting who we are. Ultimately, we are the creator, just individual expressions of the creator, just to see what is, just have something to do.
So, Yvonne, when you were out of body, did any thought like that occur to you? It's like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm registering this, but after you just said that, Gina, and I'm like, well, when you said just imagine you are God, well, and I'm not trying to be ego here, but we all are the creator, creation in creating. But I don't know that God's sitting up there with a remote controller going, right button, left button, click, click, click. But I don't know. I'm just thinking, but when I was in the void, in the existence of the creator's hands as this essence, and it was wondrous, and it was home, but at the same time, it was a piece that we don't have here. So,
so you living you're the allness of isness, you're all creation, and it's like you're just pure mind, and you're eternal pure mind, and you know everything, and it's just like Gina said, imagine boredom on that scale. Boredom on a God scale.
For me personally, what I witnessed and felt and saw and all that, there's no boredom there.
Oh, well, I think ultimately when you get to the total complete source, it's just. Yeah, I think it's either just pure love.
That's exactly it. It was absolute peace and love. So there was none of this noise. There was no boredom because you're in absolute everything. But it's, there is no boredom because you're in the wondrous of it all. Yeah. And it, again, the most wonderful, wonderful everything. It was the most wonderful everything. Yeah. So, but being here and being in with this BS of the Matrix, I don't feel that it's God that has control of the Matrix. I think there's something else at play.
I think we originally came here to have a good time, and the game has kind of gotten hijacked. So, and that's the fear that's being perpetuated. So we're all operating from the low side of our cards. And when I say the low side, that comes from fear. And when we play the high side, we're coming from love. So we really can create heaven on earth here. But right now, there's just so much low-level thinking and fearful thinking that and we don't know what our cards are. We don't know what's going to happen each day, so we just tend to go back to our, defensive modes and all of that.
Yvonne brought up the Anunnaki, and one of the things I'd like to maybe kick around, I watched a video today about like the holographic universe that we allegedly live in. And this was a professor of Yale at Yale University, and he was talking about the Gnostic archons, the material that was discovered in the Nag Hammadi scrolls in Egypt in 1945, which describe a Gnostic understanding of cosmology and creation and so forth. And what they describe is like there's God with a big G, and then there's another God, a smaller God, a lesser God with a small g, that actually has created this matrix. And this God was not as good at it, and he's not as efficient at it. And so I was listening to this discussion, and it occurred to me, it's like there's a splinter in your mind. It's like, this reality doesn't quite work. It almost works. And it's like, if I could just tweak it a little bit here and tweak it a little bit there, this would work just fine. But there's no way to tweak it. And it's like, well, it was designed that way specifically by this lesser god or this demigod or demiurge, whatever you want to call it, that deliberately created a matrix that's out of sync with another matrix where everything does work. And I know that ever since I have been here in all 67 years, it's like there's a splinter in my mind. It's like I know how things are supposed to be, and they're never like that here. And it's like it just drives me nuts, and it has driven me nuts all my life. It's like they do everything ass backwards here. And it's like if they just tweak it a little, this place would work just fine.
Mhm. Yeah. Jim, I don't know if you remember that book that you told me to read, Not in His Image, with John Lamb Lash.
Yes.
Yes. Well, you had mentioned in his book, the pagans believed in what's called astral fate. It's the guiding order which allotted each person a definite role in life, and that the role cannot be changed. This is what he writes. The role cannot be changed because the rules of the game of life are set by superhuman powers.
Right.
And then, quote, it says that slaves and aristocrats alike could act honorably, honestly, and fairly, even though they faced a stacked deck with inscrutable fate working in favor or against each protagonist. And that was in John Lamb Lash's book. And basically, this is what the pagans believed as well, is that everything was sort of set in motion.
Well, the Gnostics also said that the demiurge cannot create life the way the higher God, the God with the big G, can do it. And all that the demiurge is to create mimicry, can create a virtual reality that mimics the real reality. Okay? So, and it's like, and they believe that humans have been made prisoners here in this mimic reality, this false simulation reality. And here we are in this false simulation reality, creating artificial intelligence, which is a simulation of a simulation.
Good
so
Lord.
It's like a Russian doll. It's like a box within a box within a box. And the transhumanists and the artificial intelligence people, they're going after this, full bore. They want to create more boxes within boxes within boxes. And it's like where you're so lost you never know how to get back to the real reality.
Designed trapped energy. The box within a box. Trapping the energy within the energy within the energy. Yes. We do have a question from the live chat coming from Vanessa. What would the Three of Diamonds be about?
Oh, well, the Three of Diamonds is sort of neck and neck with the Queen of Diamonds as being the most challenging cards of the deck. So it's interesting. We're seeing two very prominent people in the media right now who are in a race against each other. Is Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders. They both are Three of Diamonds. They actually have the exact same cards, even though they have different birthdays. And the Three of Diamonds is it can be uncertainty or indecision about their values. It also represents financial creativity, and we can certainly see that Donald Trump has been very financially creative. Mm-hmm. He's learned the game of finance. He knows the game of money and how things are played, and he knows how to play the system. And he's, been very, very successful at that. Whereas Bernie Sanders, I think he plays his cards more about values, about spiritual values or human values, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. So you can see just the variety that the universe offers us and how these cards play out. But a 3 of diamonds person, for the average person, there's a lot of relationship karma that they have in this lifetime, and they tend to have to make sacrifices for people in their families. So it's not an easy card, but they certainly have a lot to offer, and they may have some secrets that they like to keep to themselves as well. The challenge with being a 3 is just, as it is with all of the odd numbered cards, is a restlessness, never being really satisfied with their life. There's always the grass always looks greener on the other side. Whereas Yvonne, you're a 6, and Jim is a 2. You tend to be a little bit more satisfied with your lives, whereas the odd-numbered cards is very, very restless.
Interesting.
Very dissatisfied, and we have to go out and make things happen. Things don't show up for us at all.
And we've got another question coming in from Vanessa. Fantastic question here. Do odd numbers play well with each other, or even numbers play well with each other, or do some suits do better with others sort of partnering? Mm-hmm. Great question.
Yeah, great questions. Great questions. Odd cards can do well with each other because they understand each other, but over the long haul, it can be exhausting because it's like twice as much of dissatisfaction. It's like twice as much uncertainty. So overall, I think it would be better to have more stability, to have the 2, and that you'd have an odd one and an even match up together to counterbalance each other. And then when it comes to suits, there's certainly something to be said about that, in the fact that if, say, you have a hearts card, someone who's very family-oriented and is all focused on relationships and family and children, and they're married to someone who, say, is a spades person who all they want to do is work, and it's time for the family vacation, and the work person says, well, you know what, I got a conference I've got to go to, or I have a work project that I've got to work on, I'm not going to be able to go. And so you can just hear the conversation, well, you never spend time with the family. You're always at the office. All you ever do is work. What about the kids? What about us? And so in the long term, they may, it would wear on that relationship where, initially they would have met. They could have been all the fireworks that needed to bring them together. But in the long term, their values are just different. What they want out of life is different. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So it helps. It's interesting because in my family we have a lot of diamonds people, so it's all about money. Okay. And it's just so funny because it's either clipping coupons or getting a deal, or someone's got a store, a sale at the store, or there's just a lot of stuff about money. And I've even challenged my parents just for fun. I said, I want you to go to a whole week and not talk about money. And they looked at me like I was crazy.
They look at you like you fell out of a tree.
Yeah. I like to tell a hearts person, don't think about love and don't think about relationships. Just focus on school and work, or your job, or just think about money or work on a budget. They're like, what? They just can't do that. They couldn't do it. Yeah. There's just certain things that it's part of our programming, if you even want to use that term.
Right.
One of the examples that I like to use and to help illustrate this is, imagine 4 people, all different suits, going to an art museum, and they're looking at a beautiful piece of art. Say they're looking at your art, okay, Yvonne, you've got this gorgeous piece on the wall. And so the hearts person is looking at it and going, whoa, that is just so beautiful. It just makes me feel so good, and I just love the colors and everything. And, oh, it just makes me feel wonderful. And that's fine. The clubs person is going to look at that same painting and go, I wonder what the message is. What is the artist trying to tell me, or what are they trying to convey through this artwork? Now, the diamonds person, like Jim and myself, we may look at it and go, I wonder how much this thing costs. It's like, well, how much?
My God.
Yeah, and Jim's an artist too, so, it's like, well, how much did all this paint cost and the canvas, and, what does it cost to get all this together? And so, you look at it from that standpoint as the diamonds person. They wonder, well, if I bought it now, if I resold it in 10 years, what would I get for it? So they're going to look at it from the value or financial standpoint. And then you've got the spades person who's going to look at that same painting, right, hanging on the wall and go, I wonder how much work went into that.
Yeah.
How many hours did it take for them to make that art? How many people did it take to hang that on the wall? What kind of truck did they have to do to bring that thing in? So they're going to look at it from a labor standpoint and the work part. So you see now how these 4 students, how they approach life differently, and they're all fine.
As an artist and being at an art show and displaying my art, I have had all the people have that full range of questions I've been asked. And it's like, and the people, they're looking at the same painting and they will ask me those kind of questions, just like you said. Yep.
Absolutely. Wow.
And they're all good, but that's just how they view things. That's just how life is. And, frankly, as a diamonds person, I look at things, I can't help it because, I'm a queen of diamonds, but I look at things as, is it worth my time to do X, Y, Z? Is it worth it for me to do this? I measure the value of what is being offered to see if it's worth it to me to do that. I don't get into the feeling of it. I look at things from a value standpoint. I try not to, but it's what basically it boils down to. That's what I'm here to experience.
Yeah, the accuracy of the breakdown to that is pretty good. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Gina, can we ask you a little bit about your creativity?
My creativity?
Yes, I'm looking at this video trailer to The Great Secret, Unlocking the Code of Life.
That was a lot of fun.
And oh my God, Gina, that is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
People really need to see.
I have Gil Brom to thank for that. He's the one who put it together. I selected all the video, and I wrote the script for that 4-minute trailer.
When do we get to see the full video?
Yes. Well, if viewers want to look at that, it's on Facebook right now, and you can go to The Great Secret of Life and see that on Facebook. It's running just nonstop right now on Facebook. It's at the top of the page.
You mean you can't give me a copy?
Of that video?
Yeah.
I guess I could. You can go.
We trade out? No, I have given you a few of my videos. Can't we?
Oh, that's true. I don't actually have it on a disc, but I can get a copy for you and send it to you.
Yeah.
We also have a website for that, and the website is thegreatsecretoflife.com, and you can see that also on the internet on the website. Just go to the video tab.
Okay.
Thegreatsecretoflife.com.
Fantastic.
Great video. We're very excited about that. I have a PowerPoint with over 1,000 slides. We have thousands of pages of information that support all of what we're talking about, what Elon Musk is now talking about. The gentleman who really brought this concept forward years and years ago is Nick Bostrom.
Yeah.
And some other people, Martin Savage and Silas Bean. They were all out years ago, almost maybe even 10 years ago or so, talking about this fact that, that we're in this matrix, that we are in this alternate reality or this ancient civilization's video game. They've been talking about this for years. So more and more people are coming on board and supporting this theory. And again, when you look into the science of it, and you've got researchers like Anthony Peake who are basically saying the same thing, that there's just more and more information to support that. And even historically, there's things that have happened. It's like when the Titanic, before the Titanic went down, there were people having dreams about the Titanic hitting, this iceberg. And they were contacting family members who had tickets that were supposed to go on the Titanic and telling them, don't get on it. We've had these dreams. And it's like, well, how can they have dreams about something that hasn't happened? How is that a possibility? And in fact, some of them, I guess, listened and they didn't board the Titanic, and so they're still alive, and yet there's others who did.
Ladies, I may have to excuse myself here. We have a big electric storm.
Yes, be safe. Okay.
So,
all right. Thank you.
I'm going to just turn off my mic here for a minute and just go outside and see where the storm is.
Sure.
And if it looks like it's headed my way, I will have to
you bet.
Continue this later.
You bet.
Okay. Hang on a second.
All right, take care.
No problem. So go ahead.
There's another story in Anthony Peake's book, which I wasn't aware of, but Sir Winston Churchill, his wife had bought a new car for him to travel in, and he wasn't very happy about the whole ordeal, and I guess she did something to make sure that none of the other vehicles were available for him. And he had a very unsettling feeling about the whole thing and really didn't want to take that vehicle but had no choice. And so he had the driver open the other door. Normally, I guess he would have sat on the back seat on the right-hand side, and this time he said, no, I want to sit on the left-hand side. And so that's what happened. And I guess they were going across a bridge or something, and there was some kind of explosion. And if he had not been sitting on the left-hand side of the car, the car would have flipped over in this explosion, and they would have gone off a bridge and died.
Oh, my gosh.
So he had this psychic hit, this intuition, this gut instinct that was telling him, this uneasy feeling that there was some kind of danger that was ahead. But how can you have a feeling about something ahead if it's not already there? So that's what I want to share with people, is that somehow we are in this story that has already been written, and we're playing out these roles. Now, I do feel like that there has to be some alternative versions, alternate realities, parallel universes, whatever term you want to use, that where, that experience did happen or it didn't happen. Say Churchill in another reality actually went and sat on the right-hand side where he normally always sat, and that car did flip off the bridge and they died.
Right.
That reality exists too. But, you have to wonder when you hear about these angelic interventions. Again, with September 11th and other events, where people did listen to that little voice, or that inner voice.
It's like a pre-existing, there's this pre-existing energy that's there that somehow some people can pick up on or not.
Or just they choose to listen to it and not.
Right.
I mean, how many times have you ignored your little voice? It can nag me. Well, I know, but there's so many times that I will hear it, or I don't necessarily audibly hear it, but it's just a thought that comes in my head. And I will dismiss it because sometimes it seems so trivial. A few weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, I was getting ready to take my granddaughter to school, and I noticed my American Express card was lying on my desk. And I thought, oh, I should put that in my wallet. I was like, no, I don't need that right now. I'm just going to leave it on my desk. I'm just taking my granddaughter to school, and I'll be right back. Well, little did I know that when I took my granddaughter to school, that I would notice that the air was down in the tire, and that there was actually, I took it to the service station, and then there was there was a big nail in the tire, and the tire had to be replaced.
Right.
And I needed my credit card, but I left it on my desk. Because my little voice had told me to pick up the credit card, and my answer back was, no, I'm just going to the school. I'm coming right back.
Right.
So it was like telling me, you're going to need that credit card because you're going to have to spend some money. But I just didn't listen to it. So fortunately, I happened to have my mom's credit card, so I used that instead. Hey, Mom, sorry, I had to put something on your card here. But yeah, it's that little voice that seems to keep us on track. And yet, how does it know what our track is if there isn't a story, isn't a script, if there isn't something for us to do? So I feel like many ways, Groundhog Day with Bill Murray.
Yes.
You know, we play these roles because we have deja vu. Have you ever had a deja vu where you felt like
yes, and yes. But then I wonder, is that a glitch in the planes? Did something just cross? You know, is that? I don't. Yeah, no, I hear you, and I wonder. I do wonder, and I do. Yes, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you've seen this before. You've experienced it before. So I always wonder, is it something that we're seeing because we saw our whole life before we came to Earth and we got to view the whole thing and go, oh, yeah, I want to sign up for that character. Sure, I want to answer this casting call. Please let me play that role. Right. And then we come down and we do, and that's how it seems familiar to us because we've already seen how it's going to play out. Right. Or we've actually lived this life before. And we come back to improve it, to do it better, to somehow make it right for as many people as we can, much like Bill Murray did in Groundhog Day, just going over and doing it over and over and over again.
Right.
But I do feel like there's something going on that is it's helping us to wake up, all of us collectively. I love that movie too, just because of being in the entertainment industry, but The Truman Show with Jim Carrey. I don't know if you remember that, where his whole life was broadcast is a you know, basically like a soap opera. And then finally somebody was telling him, you know, hey, everybody in the world is watching you. They've been watching you since you were born. And then he realizes that, oh, wait a minute, the ocean does have an end, and everything was just painted. It was a giant set, and he realized that
kind of like the flat Earth, and that set. It was a flat Earth set.
And he noticed in his little matrix that he started to notice that the same car went by every so often, and that the certain people kept doing the same things over and over and over again. So he too started to understand that there was a matrix of some sort in his life.
Right. Let me ask you this, and welcome back. I think Jim's back with us. Welcome back. I hope you're not getting...
I think the storm's moving away from us.
Okay. How Sunny in the chat here, Gina, Sunny Dimension. He's a groovy bean, by the way. How do the karma cards work?
How do they work? Well, the karma cards, and a lot of experts use different terms. I look at it as just to make it a little bit understandable for people. We have a negative karma card and a positive karma card. I call the negative one the challenging one, and the positive one the supporting one. So the negative one, to me, it's almost like you've played that role before. And so this represents sort of your shadow side that I was talking about myself before, like the part of us that the icky side, the part that we just don't really reveal to other people. And it's like the universe set up the stage, gave you the script, had the scenery, you had all cast of characters on the stage with you, and you played small. You played from fear. And you bombed at the box office. It was just a poor performance. You know, you just didn't do well at all. So we come back into this lifetime with that with that memory. We played that role before, so it's real familiar to us. And so when we get squeezed, when we are in a fear mode, we tend to revert back to that. Now, our positive karma card, our supporting karma card, this brings in the talents and the gifts and the abilities and things that just flow naturally to us. And we did that really well. That was a blockbuster. You know, we really did a super job at that. And so it comes very easily to us in this lifetime. Again, as gifts, talents, abilities, things that we just know how to do. And the beauty of it, too, is, again, the multidimensionality of the system is that these same cards can represent people in our life. So people who are 3 of diamonds, for me, that's my challenging karma card. These people that come into my life that are that card, they're a reflection to me of things about myself that I need to look at, that maybe need improvement. Or they may do things or act a certain way that challenge me. It's like, oh, I don't know why they act that way. And then I realize, well, wait a minute, I act that way too. So, you know, a lot of times they're just a mirror to us. But there is an energy flow, and somehow that I feel like that I kind of owe them, even if it's just not paying them money necessarily, but just paying attention. And again, seeing that they're a mirror to us. So the karma cards are fun to know who they are, especially if you're in a relationship or a family dynamic or a work dynamic with someone. Because you're like, why is this relationship so hard? And then when you understand which way the energy should be flowing, then you can shift that and make that relationship better.
What about the villains? We have villains in our life, and we like to think that, boy, those SOBs really need to get their comeuppance. And I think one of the things that you might discover in the cards is those people were there playing their role as best they knew how to play it to bring out the best in you.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Right.
A lot of times they'll show up as what we call your Saturn card. Saturn is the planet that's the Lord of Karma. It's the Father of Time. It's where we really learn our tough lessons. But if you think about like a hunk of coal, the pressure that is put on that coal to turn it into this magnificent, brilliant diamond, that is the same kind of thing that happens in our life. So we have people who are like teachers to us. They give us the tough lessons in life. And some of these lessons can be brutal. I mean, it could be, rape or incest or, just really horrific things. But somehow there's lessons that we will, go through and rise up above. And if we recognize that somehow there is a lesson, again, for me, it was if I always know the why or what's the lesson, then I can get through this.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty that the cards offer us in each and every moment. And it also, again, shows us who these people are, who are our teachers, who are the antagonists in our lives. And then you know how to deal with them.
Right. Well, just like in a screenplay, in a scenario.
Exactly, and that's
the
what
villain
makes
always
it so nice.
The villain,
I know. I know who my antagonists are, and now I'm like, as soon as I know their card, I'm like, nice to know you. I'll see you later. Bye.
Right. But in a movie? What does the villain do? He always brings out the best in the hero, right?
Interesting.
But everything in life, is exactly that. Even if you get down to the structure of an atom, you have a proton and an electron. You have light and dark. Everything is this dance of protagonist, antagonist, the light, the dark, the yin and the yang. That's what makes the world work. If that completely stopped and everything came into balance, it'd be boring.
It'd be game over.
And if we had movies where there was no antagonist and there was no hero's journey and everybody was happy and it was all love and light, love and light, love and light all day long, and for 2 hours we just sat there and watched these people, they're just happy, we'd walk out of the theater going, I'd like my money back, please. That was the most boring thing. We are addicted to drama. We love drama. We're here for drama.
No.
We love the hero's journey. Oh, we really do. We really do.
Well, no, not the drama.
Yeah.
Well, we loved all these things where we've overcome certain obstacles.
Wow.
And there's a lot of people who will tell you that the most exhilarating part of life is when we're closest to death. And when we've got thrill seekers, that walk across on a tight wire between two, skyscrapers and stuff.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Gina, when you're talking or doing a reading for someone, is there a specific card or grouping of cards that represent death itself that you...
Oh, well, that was your card back in 21.
Well, but I mean... Is there more that goes with that card to really, that's it? Death?
Oh, no. There are people who have those cards for their entire life, and that's not their experience. But yeah, there are a lot of the spades cards are what we would nickname death cards. Ace of Spades is definitely the one. I mean, that card has been used historically for a long, long time to represent death. It is the card of transformation. If you look at a spade, it's like a spade you'd use in your garden. It's really a seeker of truth. It likes to dig and find that's not been revealed. But, I think it was in Vietnam, they used to drop huge cases of Ace of Spades cards. And they had little messages for the Viet Cong and everything on there, and they would put them in the dead bodies. And, say that they had been killed, and there was a message on there for them to retreat or go back. If you go on eBay, you can actually see some of these cards.
Right, that's totally a cult.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, we get into that too. I mean, that's...
But I cannot believe it's almost 8 o'clock. Can you believe this? We have to wind it down here, folks. Did I lose you all? Uh-oh.
No, we're here.
We're just shocked that it went by so fast.
It's just flown by.
I know, and I want to thank Gina E. Jones. I want to give out your information again. And could you give out, was there a separate Facebook page? People were asking for the Great Secret. I did put the Facebook page in there. Is there another website?
The GreatSecretOfLife.com is the documentary's website. And if they're on Facebook, they can go to the Great Secret of Life on Facebook page. Okay. And it's called The Great Secret. And our goal is to make this into a TV series where we would have people like Nick Bostrom and Martin Savage and Silas Bean and Anthony Peake and other researchers and Elon Musk and all of the people who have an understanding that we are in a matrix and that there is something else going on.
Well, you better get John Lash too.
And Thomas Campbell and Nassim Haramein and even the Dalai Lama is a reincarnation, is from, understands about other lifetimes and past lives and future lives and all of that. So,
Well, it's been a pleasure, and I hope our listeners, please make sure, folks, that you all check out thecardsoflife.com. Go there. You can look up your birthday chart. You can look up all this information about the cards, the birthday chart, the critical year age, your real business card, and you can contact Gina. You could say, hey, Gina E. Jones, what? Yeah, I need some more help. And that's what you have to do, because she's wonderful, and we're so looking forward to your future works as well, Gina, and I want to thank you. Been looking forward to the show. I want to thank you so much for being here tonight. And Jim Nichols, are you excited about MUFON?
Oh, you betcha.
Okay, and that's the 25th, right?
Yeah.
In Tempe, Arizona.
Yep, that's, and if you go to Phoenix MUFON, if you go to their website, Phoenix MUFON, you'll see it, my presentation posted there prominently.
Okay, Wonderful. And your website is jimnicholsufo.net, folks, and make sure you check out all of his wonderful video blogs and artwork. And again, go to Gina E. Jones and check out also that the Facebook page for The Great Secret, and you can watch that documentary on Vimeo. I think that's how it's pronounced. But my friends, yes, it's another fantastic Friday Groovy Bean evening. Next week's guest, my friends, is Tolek. Who is this Tolek? What? Yeah, he is a human representative of the Andromeda Council, an intergalactic, interstellar, and interdimensional governance and development body of aligned benevolent star systems and planets of sentient intelligent life for worlds in both the Milky Way and Andromeda Galaxy. So Tolek will be here, and Tolek and Jim are actually the producers of the Transformational Shift conference, which Jim and I will be doing in October in Arizona, Tucson, Arizona. And if you want more information for that, friends, please go to www.transformationalshiftevents.com. They've got fantastic speakers lined up. Who's all there, Jim? Alex Collier, Simon Parks, you.
Well, you and me. What more do you need? No, Tolek. Tolek will be there, and Jerry Wills, and just a whole bunch of them. There's so many I can't keep track of all.
Absolutely. Yes. So listen, my friends, thank you again for tuning in. Hope to see you next Friday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And there are two wolves, and they are always fighting. One is darkness and despair. The other is light and hope. Which wolf wins? Which one, Jim?
Well, it's the one you got to feed.
That's right. Whichever one you feed, friends. So remember, be safe, be kind, be courageous. Love and light. Love you all. Thank you, Colleen Kelly behind the scenes. Groovy Bean signing out. See you next time, folks. Have a safe and happy weekend. Boop.
Great. Oh, yeah.
You've been listening to The Groovy Bean Show with Yvonne Palermo on Haggy Shack Radio at haggyshack.com. Simulcast to Wolf Spirit Radio.